This week, let's see if we can't take this pile of parts, turn it into a working, driving, operating, completely assembled motor. I can't do it talking to y'all though, so let us get busy. Well, as you can see, the box of parts, they're all gone. Oh yeah, I opened up most of them. This is mostly brake parts, a little bit of clutch parts. We're modifying the clutch. We'll talk about that later. But right now, let's just walk through the partages I have over here. This is motor parts here. Going with a Scat forged crank. Oh yeah, it's stock stroke 3.48. Scat H-beam rods. Oh yeah, look at them pretty things, fellas. This will be the fanciest motor I've ever built. Yes, sir, as far as parts go. Diamond pistons right here. Well, let me tell you this firstly. I remember that this is, 10, 11 years ago when I had all this machine work done. He balanced all the rotating assembly. It's the same fellow that did the machine work on the Dano Ford Silver Bullet. Well, I remember this. I was looking at the pistons. I remembered, where is it at? The piston to wall clearance. It shows 6.5 thousandths. Well, I remember him saying, man, that seems like a lot. I'm going to close it up. And I reminded him, I said, feller, these are forged pistons. It's going to be a supercharger on it. And he said, well, that seems like a little much to me. So I trusted him because he's built no telling how many motors. Well, I got to looking at the paperwork right here. And this is some added specs for clearances. 2618 material, that's what mine are made out of. Well, you look right here, street strip power adder, 1 to 3 thousandths more. I'm a little worried about that now. Yep. I hope we got enough clearance so we don't seize pistons up. I will check before I put it together. I'll measure a piston and then I'll measure the bore and see where we're at. Yeah, I hope we ain't too tight. I'll do a little more reading on that tonight, and I might even contact Diamond, see what they think about it. By the way, whilst I was doing a little research on these pistons a minute ago, just guess what this set of pistons costs now. No, sir, you are way off. Yeah. Cheapest I found was $1,350 for that set of pistons. No, sir. I would have never bought that now. They were probably $500 or $600, 10, 11 years ago. Ain't no way I'd have paid that for a set of pistons now, but I do think we got a good rotating assembly here. Yeah, Scat forged H-beam rods, good forged pistons. Oh yeah, I think we're gonna be good. Of course, there's head gaskets, lifters, a stud kit for the mains. There's some retainers and locks for the valves, of course. Rod bearings, main bearings, springs, rings, and then stainless steel, what do you call them? Roller rockers. Same type we put on the Ford. These are Elgin. What did we put? PRI? Is that the name of them? What we put on the Ford? It's basically the same thing. Probably the same company makes them. Anyway, what I got to do right now before we can start putting this together, this is dirty. Like I told y'all, it sat in the house in the front room in the corner for the last 10 or 11 years. It was in a bag, but I do have cats. They like to rip things up. It's dirty. So I'm going to roll it outside and clean it off, get all the dust and stuff off of it. Blow it off, we'll roll it back in here and coat it with W&D. And I'm not sure if I'm going to fool with start and put it together today because I did get a pretty late start. Yep. We'll just see. Let me roll it out there and clean it and I'll be back. Let's give this little feller a bath like he's a newborn baby. We'll scrub-a-dub-dub him. How about that? There's a rust spot or two here and there, but I don't think it's nothing that's going to hurt us. Matter of fact, what little bit is right here is rubbing off with this rag, I think. If not, we'll hit it with some memory cloth. See if that don't help us out. Let us hurry get this blowed off so it don't rust on us. Let's get some W&D on these here cylinders, and then I'll carry it inside and we'll clean all the little passages out. I'm gonna take them main caps off too, because I'm sure some water got down in the bolt holes. Well, I got her all cleaned up, got the wooters, blew out all the holes, got her hosed down with the W&D. Went ahead and put my main bearings in the block and in the main caps too. By the way, if you have not figured it out, she's a 4-bolt main now. Oh yeah. Anyway, there's my bearing half in there. The reason you do that is, well, we gotta check our clearances, bearing clearances. What we'll do is we'll torque a cap down. We'll measure it. We gotta measure the main journals on our crank, and then do the math. And I'm looking for 2.5 to 3 thousandths clearance. Yep. I ain't doing it tonight though. Like I said, I got a really late start. So we'll get out here bright and early tomorrow. It would be nice if I could get this mostly put together. We can't do it completely because I don't have push rods. I got to measure them. I got to put it together before I can measure them. So anyways, if we can get it to that point tomorrow, then yeah, we'll be A-okay. Anyways, I shall see y'all tomorrow. Today's the next day, and well, I just got back from Ireland. Got me a small bag of parts right there. Needed an Earl pump. Completely forgot I didn't have a timing chain set. There's a couple other things in there. Having to go with a stock type timing chain set instead of double roller, because, well, if you will recall the other LT1 we built, the cam sprocket has got another gear on the back side that turns the gear that turns the water pump. I'll show you all that in a little bit. But to get a double roller timing chain set, LT1 style, $300. I can't afford that, no sir. That little bag of parts right there was over $200. Yeah, stuff's expensive anymore. Anyway, what we're going to do, hopefully today, is get this thing put together. We'll just have to see how things work out. But what we're going to do right now is check our main journals, and we'll check our rod journals, check them against our bearings, and see what kind of clearance we got. Let me set you up on the camera, and I'll show you real quickly how you do that. Here's what you call a micrometer. Micrometer is what most normal people call it. I call it a micrometer. All you do is get it right here. And this is something you just learn by feel. But you get her in there. You turn this little wheel here. Hear it ratcheting. That's so you don't over tighten it and get a false reading. But you got to get, centered. Again, that's a feel thing. You learn it, the more you do it. Then you slide her back and forth. And if you don't feel a bunch of slop, then you're pretty close. Well, then you got to read it. This one here is 425, 35, 45, 46, 47, 48. About a 6. And, well, I've already got them wrote down here. Let me show you. There they are. 448, 6, 8, 6, 7, 6. Now what we got to do is go over here, torque our caps down, and get a measurement there, and then we do math, and we know what our clearance is. We're going to start on the back here, and you want to clean the block and your cap. Make sure you ain't got no garbagery, because if you do, it's going to throw your reading off. Anyway, let me tighten this cap down to, I do believe it's 65 feetage pounds. Let me show you all this here too, real quick like. This cap is not sitting down in the register. The register is this little notch here and here. Take your hammer, barely tap it. Make sure it's down in there. If it's cocked and not sitting in the register, you go to torquing on it, you could break or chip the cap or the block. And you don't want to do that. Anyway, let me tighten these up real quick. You don't want to crank down on these all at once. Go a little bit over here, a little bit over here. Some people, and I do it sometimes too, you'll actually set your torque wrench like 45, 55, 65. But, I mean, you can just feel it. Tighten it up a little bit at a time. So you hear a clicker. And another clicker. All right, well, let's measure and see what we got. Now what we got to do is take our dial bore gauge. I got it set to what we just measured over there, 2.4486. And you stick this in here, and then this will tell us our clearance. We've got approximately 2.5, 2 3/4. I'm good with that. I'm looking for 2.5 to 3 on the mains. So yeah, I'm good with that. All right, let's check the next one. All right, let's do the next one. And you might be wondering, well, how do you know? Does it go this way or does it go this way? Remember, our bearings have a tang, see a little notch? The tang on the bearing fits in that notch, and then both tangs or notches go to the same side. That's how you know which way it goes. Clean this up right here. Clean this little feller up here. Notch to notch. Get her on down in there. Now see, that one fit. I don't have to peck it down in there. You know what I've done, fellers? I have completely forgot. I got studs for these because these are, I think these are the stock main cap bolts. And I wasn't happy with what little bit of bite we're getting on the threads. So I bought a stud set. Forgot all about it. Let me get them studs put in, and then we'll continue with this. Here are the studs. You will notice that 3 are longer than the other. That's because this gets a windage tray, goes up here. This is what the windage tray bolts to. One will go here, one will go here, one will go here, and then the rest of them go here, here, and here, and here, and here, and here, and here. And I'll have to pull these back bolts out and put these in, but let me get these tightened up real quick, like. Per usual, MLS is here to visit us today. I don't know what's going on, but that there didn't act right. But that ain't, yeah, something ain't right there. Let me run it on down, I guess. Well, here's the deal. This stud kit ain't gonna work, no sir. It is for a 2-bolt main. I need one for a 4-bolt main, and here's why that matters. Here is the 2-bolt, stock 2-bolt cap. Here's the 4-bolt cap that's on there now. See the height difference? We gotta have a longer stud, taller, longer bolt for that to work. Well, let me just show you right here. You got plenty of stud here on this stock main cap for the nut and washer. But you come over here to this one, and well, you can see it right here. You got a whole lot less thread engagement, and yeah, it's not gonna work. The instructions say to run these studs all the way down, hand tight. Don't crank them down, just run them all the way down and maybe back them off a little bit. That's the way I've got them. And like I said, you ain't got nowhere near enough thread engagement. Let me get this off here and I'll just show you. See right, let me get down here where you can see it. See, we don't have a full nut's worth of thread. Tis not going to work. I thought about unscrewing the studs a little bit, give me more thread up here, but I don't want to do that. Nope. I have looked and searched on ARP, Summit, even Maladon, and I'm not happy with the information they give to know whether or not a 4-bolt main stud kit will work with this. So I've got an email into ARP. Let's see what they say. Maybe we can get this straightened out. So this right here is on hold for now. I think what we'll do, I got to put valve springs on the heads. If I'm going to take that apart, might as well go ahead and lap the valves in. So let's get over here on the table somewhere and we'll start doing that. All right, what we got to do first before I can lap these valves in to get the springs out of the way. Let me screw my little valve spring remover onto here. Approximately right in that area. Put our handle on and go chompa. Well, they're stuck to the valve. So when you do that, the spring keeper and all that locks are all jammed together. Let me show you what you do with that. You get a big hammer, you peck on them, and hopefully that'll break them free. All right, let's try that again. Did that help us any? Oh yeah, see right there? She broke free. Get our magnet to grab these locks because, man, they can be aggravating. We don't need these. I got new locks with new retainers because I'm going with, what do you call it, beehive valve springs. They take a different retainer. This is your retainer. It sits on top of the valve. Bee spring or beehive springs they narrow at the top, so you have to have a different retainer. I'll show you all that here in a little while, but right now, oh crap. Let's just look at this here valve and seat area, see what it looks like. This is an exhaust, so it's going to be a little rougher than the others, but it don't look bad, but I guarantee it needs to be lapped in. So let us do that. Let me set her up here, about right here. Ooh, there went the valve. Anyway, set it up here about like this, about right there. And let me show you how we lap a valve. I'm going to use the fine. I got a coarse right there and a fine right here. Let me get this open. All right, finally got it open. This is what it looks like. It's got a little fine grit in it. And all you do is put you a little bit on the valve, just like that right there. Then, let me find a rag. Then what you want to do, this is going to be spinning in that guide. Well, you want to lube it up a little bit. You don't want to be messing stuff up. So I just grabbed some Vaseline because it was the closest thing. You want to stick it back in where it was. Just like that right there. Then you grab your drill. Put this rubbery hose over the end of it, just like that right there. It's going to spin the valve on the seat, trying to get them to mate better. And, well, that grit is going to work its way out. And you'll be spinning it with no grit. You're wasting your time. Well, you want to bring that valve off the seat just a little bit and then come back. When you do that, it'll bring that grit back into the seat area where you need it. Well, this is how you do it right here. So I'm working the drill just every couple of seconds and bring that grit back out to where it needs to be. All right, let me pull this hose off if I can and pull this valve out, wipe it off and look at it. The valve don't look too bad. Let's see what this seat looks like real quick. Well, it's got a couple of pit areas. It'd probably be okay, but let me do it just a little bit more. All right, let's see what that did. I think that looks pretty good. Y'all probably can't see it. But see that silverish grayish area? Well, that's where it has lapped into the seat. Let me flip this head over and clean it, and I'll show you that. See the gray silver area on that seat? That means them two little fellers are mated pretty doggone good now, so we won't be leaking compression by that. I got 15 more of these to do. I'll be back in a couple hours. Well, this head is done as far as being lapped in. I just took her outside and gave her a bath in the old oven cleaner. It cleaned it up decently. Ain't nothing great, but all the valves are lapped in. They all look pretty doggone good. Yep. Now it's time to put it back together, and by that I mean stick a valve in, put a spring on, put a retainer, locks on, and there you go. You got it. Speaking of springs, there's the beehive spring I was telling you about. See how it sort of curves in? Let me get it where you can see it a little bit better maybe. Or maybe not. Anyway, it's not straight. It starts curving in at the top. That's called a beehive spring. I don't remember what they're rated for exactly, but it's good enough for this cam. We'll talk about the cam specs when we start putting it in, but for now, let's get this thing put back together. All right, first thing we got to do is put the valve seals on right here. But before we do that, let me show y'all this here. If you have aluminum heads, then you must have this little whoosher right here. It goes in between the spring and the head. If you don't have that, that spring-a-lang is going to dig into that head, and, well, you ain't going to have a good time after a while. Anyway, here is valve seal. It's what they call a positive lock or positive something or other. I don't know. But sometimes they'll just push on like that right there. And then to make sure they're on, get you a socket that'll fit them. Just peck on a little bit till it gets bottomed out. And, well, that's pretty much it. Let me do this next one right here. All right, y'all get the idea. Let me get these done, and then I'll be back and we'll start putting the valves in it. Got all the valve seals on. They look pretty doggone good. Didn't have no trouble with that. Now it's time to put the springs and valves and all that in. So here's how you do that. You get you a valve. You get you some assembly lube. Put a little bit on your valve stem there, because you don't want it in there dry. Then well, first let me tell you this. However you lap the valves in, though, that valve needs to go back to that hole. This one here was for this one. Well, I don't need to put it over here. It needs to go over here. Anyway, all you do is put that in there where it goeth. Get you a rag. Stuff it in the combustion chamber. The reason you do that, it keeps that valve from trying to drop down while you're trying to get everything on. Then you get your spring-a-lang. These sort of don't want to fit those little whooshers. You have to push them down a little bit, but I think they'll be okay. Then what you do, get your valve spring compressor tool, whatever you're using. Put that down on there. You get you a retainer, just like that right there. Then you get your handle to your compressor. You go squishy squish, just like it right there. Get you 2 valve locks, whatever you want to call them. There's a groove in the valve stem, and then it's like a tongue and groove. The groove's in the valve stem, and the tongue part is in the lock. You got to get them in that groove, and then you let off of your valve spring retainer, and there you go. Let's do another one real quick. Get you some lube. Lube that little feller up. Put it in here where it go. Just like that right there. Put your rag in your combustion chamber to keep it from trying to move. Spring-a-lang. Valve spring compressor. Retainer. Chompa with this. 2 locks. And these are tapered too. They go a certain way. So don't get it upside down like I've got that one. That ain't gonna work. Nope. Let off of it. Just like that right there. And there you go. Let me get the other ones done. I'll be back in a minute. Last one right here. Chompa. Some people will put grease on these to keep them in place because they do have a tendency to want to move around. I just hold in place with my fingers most of the time. Let go of it, and there you go. Oh, yeah. Let me show you one last thing that I do after I get all the springs on. Take your hammer and just go along and peck them to make sure everything's seated, because, you know, one of these little locks may not be in there just right. And you peck on it, and it could go flying apart, so, you know, kind of stand to the side, but just make sure everything's seated, and there you go. These heads come stock with screw-in studs, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Also, if you're wondering, why didn't you check retainer to valve guide clearance or valve seal clearance? Well, because I know the stock LT1 heads are good for 600, 650 lift from the factory. This cam is under 600, so I know we're good there. Anyways, let me do the other head. I'm going to call it a night. I'll see y'all tomorrow. I ain't sure what we're going to do because, you know, we're going to be waiting on parts. We'll find something to do. Y'all look here what just showed up at my house. I don't know what year it is, but it's Crown Vic. Well, I want the front end out of it to put in the old Silver Bullet. Remember, we heated the coils, and to lower the front, I don't like that. I want to do a Crown Vic swap. Guess who brought it to me? The Inevitable Jim. Some of y'all are subscribed to his channel. If you ain't, well, go check him out. The Inevitable Jim. I'll put a link to his YouTube in the description below. But yes, sir. Well, we'll talk about it here in just a minute. Let's get this unloaded. Well, we got it unloaded. As you can see, it's going to sit back here in the junkyard for a little bit till I can get to it. But here is the Inevitable Jim.
Yo.
And his lovely wife.
Pamela.
Pamela. I'm terrible with names, sorry.
That's all right. So
anyway, I was about to tell y'all that he brought this car to me for free. Free 99. He won't take a penny for it.
Nope.
I just told him when I get the front end out of it, I'm going to take it to the junkyard, to the crusher. Whatever it brings, I'm going to send it to him. Well,
yeah, I ain't going to catch Chad. So here's the deal. I buy and sell retired police cars, government vehicles. And when I was, if you go to my channel and watch a video on a 75 Monte Carlo that I got in Georgia, got it running, drove it 800 miles home. I swung by, met Chad, stopped here, hung out for a little bit. And he had mentioned he'd been wanting one of these because he wanted the front suspension on one, but for some reason everybody down here is on meth that's selling them because the price is accordingly.
Yeah.
And so we ended up getting a shipment of ones in that we just pulled drivetrains out because the frame's rusted, the car's not salvageable. And I said, I'm just going to crush this thing anyway. And I said, well, I'm going down to KP's to pick up 68 Buick LeSabre that I bought at the same time I bought the Monte Carlo. And literally, Chad's house and shop is like 2 miles off the interstate. I'm going down anyway. I said, dude, I'm coming down with an empty trailer. I'll just drop it off. He said no, and I showed up anyway. No, we talked about it, but I'm just glad somebody's going to use it because it was junk. It wasn't worth fixing, Jack.
That's awful nice of him. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. Y'all go check him out. The Inevitable Jim.
Yep.
I got Pamela Anderson here. Yes, Pamela Anderson. She's fixing to go for a ride in Dude, and probably old Silver Bullet too.
Hi, everyone.
Well, I just told y'all. Where is he at?
I'm down here.
There he is. The Inevitable Jim. I just told y'all, you know, he brought Crown
I brought
Vic.
him some junk.
Yeah, well.
Junk. He likes junk, so I brought him some junk.
I build junk, so. Anyways, we're fixing to go for a ride in Dude, probably Silver Bullet, and we're going to find out which one's faster.
So, I am so excited. I got to meet Chad from This and That Garage. And he is taking me for a ride in Dude, and I am in 7th heaven. Oh my gosh, I love this.
Come on, so there's a trooper lives right down here.
Oh yeah. I am in Hey Dude, and I am having the time of my life. Oh my gosh. Yes, I am geeking out right now. Look at who I'm with. This truck is amazing.
Well, we just got back from going for a ride in Dude. Pamela Anderson, who's faster?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so Dude, Silver Bullet, it's gotta be Dude. But I love Dude. Oh my gosh, he is so cool.
I think we're probably going to have to take him to the drag strip eventually.
Yeah,
I don't know.
think you should.
I would like for it to cool off because, you know, to run faster in cooler weather. So maybe, what is this, July? Maybe September. We might take him to the drag
think you
strip, see what
should.
to do.
That'd be fun to watch.
Today's the next day again, and I got both heads. They're ready to go. Yes, sir. With the exception of putting rocker arms on. We'll do that after we get it on the motor. What I'm fixing to do now, we're going to put pistons on rods. Before I can do that, I got to put rings on pistons. Well, before I can do that, we got to file fit our rings. Well, before we can do that, let me tell you something real quick. Do you recall at the first of this video I said we're going to try to get this pile of parts into a fully assembled motor? Well, no, sir, that ain't happening. I completely forgot that we're only doing 30-minute videos now, and no, there's no way I can get that whole thing, all this done in 30 minutes. Not even going to try. So I guess this week's video, you can call it the pre-assembly of the motor. Or if you've ever worked in a factory on an assembly line, they call it sub-assembly. You build this and you bring it to the main line and you put it on the unit, whatever you're building. Well, this is sub-assembly this week. Oh, yeah. Anyways, fellas, I've got to get used to how much I can do in the 30-minute video. I'll get it eventually, so y'all just bear with me. Anyway, let's get some rings filed. Ring gap, what does it need to be? Also, by the way, these are Total Seal high-performance piston rings. Oh, yeah. Again, I bought these 10, 11 years ago. I don't remember if they're chrome-faced, nitrided, whatever. I don't remember. But at the time, I thought I needed them, so we're going to run them. This piece of paperwork come with it, and this right here tells you what your gap needs to be. We are doing mild boost up to 15 psi. We're running on gas, so bore times 0.0055. That equals 22 thousandths on the ring gap. Let's get over here and start working on the ring gap. This is how you check and file ring in gaps. Put your ring in there, just like that right there. Well, I usually put it down here. It's just easier to measure. Put your gap down here. Take a piston. Push her approximately an inch down in the bore. Reason you do that is you want it square in the bore. Now, fellas, this piston ain't going down in that bore. What is going on here? This is interesting. Let me see what's going on. Okay. That scared me there for a minute, fellas. That ring was holding it up. Anyway, let's start over. You put your ring in the bore. Put my gap down here just because it's easier to measure. Take a piston. Push her down in the bore. Approximately an inch. We'll go a little further than that. But still don't want to go in there with that. I don't understand what's going on here. What in the devil? I'm very confused at this moment. Well, we have no gap whatsoever, and that may be the issue. The ring's binding up. All right, well, yeah, that's what it is. Well, let's go over here to the vise, and we'll start filing on this. I got my file clamped in the vise. I don't have one of them file whatever machines. I have to do it manually, the old school way. That's what I like. Anyway, you just want to file some off of each end. Keep it as square as possible, but you just go to doing that right there a little bit at a time, and then flip her over. Do a little bit here. I'm going to stop there and go check because I don't know how quickly I'm taking material off, so this will help me gauge. So let's go back over there and see if we got any gap at all. What do we have? Let me tell you this firstly. Rings have a certain way they go, that way or that way. Usually they'll have a dot or something or a bevel on the inside or the outside. Well, this one has numbers on the top and a bevel on the top. The bevel goes on the top pretty much always, I think, on the inside. And then sometimes they'll have a bevel on the outside too, but this one has one on the inside, so that goes up. Anyway, put this little fella in here and square this up. Well, we ain't took nothing off because it still won't go down. This is a good time to tell y'all. Well, let me show you up close. Y'all have done seen twice now that this piston won't push this ring down in the bore because there's no gap. It's buttoned up and it's binding up. That is why you gap rings. As the motor heats up, this gap in this piston ring is going to close up. Well, if it closes up too much, it's going to lock up like this. It's going to bust a ringland off a piston. The ringland is these little fellers in here, in between the rings. You got a big one up here. It can bust that off if these ever butt up against each other. And on a supercharged motor like we're building here, you want more of a gap because you're creating more heat. Nitrous, big horsepower engines, you want a bigger gap. That's why. Because y'all, you see right here, it's binding up because they're buttoned. There's no gap whatsoever in that right now. Anyway, let's go over and file it some more. Let us file. The reason these don't have any gap, they are filed to fit. So, well, the box says 4.030, which is the bore, and then plus 5. I'm not sure what that means unless they add 5 thousandths to it then you file fit. I don't know, but these are file fit, and that's why there's no gap. Once you get done filing, hit all them edges, because there's going to be burrs. You don't want no burrs. All right, let me go check it again. I already got it in there, and I can see gap now. So y'all watch this piston. See how I can now push it down in there? Because it's not binding up because we got a gap. Anyway, let's put the little feller in there. Get it squared up in the bore. Let me get a feeler gauge. And it ain't much of a gap, but there is a little bit. Let's see. That is 7 thousandths. It's close to 7, which is nowhere near enough. Let me get an 8, see if that'll go. 8 thousandths. Yeah, it goes. But it's binding up, so yeah, we don't even have 8 thousandths. So let me keep filing on this. When I get it close, I'll be back. All right, let's check it again. I done filed it a couple more times. I got a feeling I went a little bit too much this time. Let's check a 25. It's supposed to be 22. Yes, sir, 25 goes. Well, that ain't good. What about a 28? 28 does not go. Well, it does a little bit, yep. Well, I have went overboard, but I'd rather be too big and too small. All that's going to do is leak by some gases. I'll have to be a little bit better, pay attention a little more on the next ones. Because I got to do the top rings on all of them, and I got to do the second rings. When I get them done, probably going to take an hour or so to do this. I'll be back and we'll start assembling the pistons and rods. Piston rings are gapped. Some may be a little oversized. We won't discuss that. That just means we can run more boost if they're a little larger than what they need to be. What we're going to do now, we're going to make the piston and the rod. And this is going to be just a smidge different than what we normally do. Let me try to explain. Well, firstly, the rod, has to go a certain way. See these little tang things down in there? That's like a lock for your bearing. That will always go to the outside of the motor. So if we're looking at the motor, this is the driver's side, 1, 3, 5, 7, front's here. This here, the tang, will go to the outside. There's your tang right there. On the passenger side, you'll flop her over. And it'll go like that right there. Now that we got that figured out, valve reliefs, eyebrows, whatever you want to call them, always go to the lifter valley. Well, if you look at this in here, they're not the same. You got a small eyebrow and a big one, and then a big one and a small one. Well, normally, on flat top piston anyway, the valve reliefs are usually the same. Some of them will have 4 valve reliefs, and I think those may go either way. I don't know. But anyway, for some reason they've done this on these dish pistons. I'll get it out in a minute. Have them opposite. The reason to do that is on a small block Chevrolet, you got exhaust, intake, exhaust, exhaust, intake, exhaust. On the driver's side, and it's the same thing on the passenger side. And your exhaust valve is smaller than your intake valve. Therefore, smaller valve, bigger valve, smaller valve. So we know, now that we know intake exhaust on a small block Chevrolet, this one can be numeral 1, it can be numeral 5, and then you go on the passenger side, and let me make sure I don't get this backwards, it can be number 4 or number 8. I think my number's right. I'll recheck that, but you get the idea. These go in a certain hole on these pistons here. Normally stock, flat top, 2 valve relief, it don't matter. Just as long as you got the valve relief pointed that way. All right, let's get these little fellers put together. Let me tell you something else too. Talking about the valve reliefs and all that. Flat top has 4 valve reliefs. And, I told y'all the valve relief always goes to the lifter valley. Well, on a 4 valve relief piston, it can go either way. How do you know? Well, most of the time it's going to have a dot or an arrow. That dot or arrow will always go to the front. Remember that. Also, on the rod, talking about the tangs, go to the outside of the block. Also, the side of the rod is going to have a chamfer. I don't know if you'll see that or not. It's got a pretty good chamfer on that side. This one has a really, really small one. The larger chamfer will always go to the crankshaft side. The smaller or no chamfer will always go to, let's pretend this is another rod, it'll always go to the other rod, just like that. Now that we got all that out of the way, these are full floating piston rod assembly. Meaning, y'all have seen me put pistons on rod before, and it's usually a stock rod. We have to heat the end of the rod up, which expands the hole and then lets us slip the wrist pin in there. Well, actually, the wrist pin will be in the piston, and we go inside the piston and slip it through the rod. Full floating means we don't have to do that. Watch this right here. Oh, yeah, look at there. We ain't got to heat nothing up, fellers. Since it is a full floater, you have to have something to keep that wrist pin from just flopping out like that. Well, you have what is called spiral locks. And that's these little aggravating fellers right here. They look like this when you get them. And you grab a hold of them just like this. It's kind of hard for me to do this because my thumb, I got a pretty big cut on that thumb. But you grab them like at one end and the other end, and give them a good yank. Spread them open like that. It makes it easier to put them in. They can be extremely aggravating. Yep. Anyway, I've already got the spiral locks on one side of the piston. That way we just slip it right in there and put it on the other side. Also, let's lube her up with some assembly lube. You don't want that stuff to be going together dry. I'm going to put a little bit in here, just like that right there. Just like that right there. I'm going to lube this pin up a little bit too. Now, let me set this to the side for a minute. Wipe my hands. Now, remember, what did we say? Let's pretend we're doing the driver's side right now. Tangs to the outside. We know this one here, our valve relief to the lifter valley. That exhaust valve is on the left, so we know this is number 1. So it's going to go together just like that right there. Flip her over. Get our pin. Well, I got to go in this side because I got a lock on that other side. Go in there just like that right there. Flip her over. Now comes the aggravating part. Sometimes I can get these right in and sometimes I got to fight it. But you want to get the end of this started down in there. It's a lot easier once you got the pin, wrist pin in there. Trying to do it just with the piston out in the open, it's just, oh yeah, very aggravating. But you get that end there started in the groove. And once you get it started, it ain't too bad. You can take your fingernail and just work it in there like that right there. And then listen, you'll hear it pop when it finally seats. Listen. Oh yeah, there we go. And you just want to go around, make sure, it's in there good. That is one piston. It can be number 1. It can be number 5. And then what I say, 4 and 8 over there. I'm going to try to keep these in order. So let me pull this one out. This will be number 1. Let's do one more real quick. This one can be 3, 7, 2, or 6. I think that's right. Anyway, let's get us a rod. I'm just so proud of these rods. I'm telling you, that's pretty right there, fellas. It sure is. Anyway, let's get her lubed up. Like I said, I already got one lock on one side of the piston. Make sure we got the right piston. Valve relief to the lifter valley. We're still doing the driver's side. Tangs to the outside of the motor. So it'll go together just like that right there to be cylinder, 3. Of course, I got the lock on that side. So let me get over here. Slide her on in there. And if we get it wrong, it ain't no big deal. You just pull that lock out and turn the piston around, and there you go. But just check and make sure Big valve relief is to the left, so like I said, it would be 3 or 7. Tanks are that way, so we're good. So let me get the lock put in. See, this in here is wanting to be aggravating, and I don't understand why some of them go right in, and some of them it make a preacher cuss is what it'll do. If you ever get it started, it ain't too bad. I got that started. You just wind it on around in there. And there you go. That is cylinder number 3. I got 6 more to do. When I get them done, I'll be back. Our pistons and rods are now married forever and ever. Amen. Yep. I got them sitting here like they go. This is driver's side 1357. This 2468 over there. As you can see, well, I got her upside down. Valve reliefs are to the lifter valley. Tang, where's that? Right there. To the outside of the motor. Exhaust valve on the left for cylinder 1. Oh, yeah. I'm not going to put the rings on right now because my fingers are killing me from them stupid spiral lock, man. Man, I hate them things. Anyways, at least we got that done, and we're one step closer to getting the whole thing put together. Still waiting on main cap studs. They should be here in 2 days. When they get here, we'll get the motor put together and get it put in the car. In the meantime, while I wait on them to get here, I'll start working on other stuff for the video after the next one. Oh, yeah. So be looking for that. Let me remind you also, we are doing 2 videos a week now. About 30, 45 minutes, somewhere in there, each video. Wednesday night at 7, Saturday night at 7. Be looking for them. Oh, yeah. Anyways, appreciate y'all watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you don't mind, hit that like, comment, subscribe. Share it with your friends. And until next time, go do something. Blur, blur.